For sure, right now, money drives a lot of the decisions in school districts. It is an expense. And then I think if districts are possibly opting not to, if it's not an expense-related decision, then it might be perception, and not understanding that it's really important to build those relationships with the student resource officers and the students. And it's a great opportunity for them to do that in the schools, and then they support them when they see them out in the community.
Welcome to another episode of Conservative Talk Chicago. I'm your host, Jack Novak. Along with my team, we post weekly episodes that include interviews and commentary reviewing the most important political issues without the liberal bias of mainstream media. If you're as frustrated as we and feel that most mainstream news is disingenuous, then welcome to Conservative Talk Chicago. We welcome your questions, concerns, and ideas. Please send them by email to talktome@conservativetalkchicago.com. At this time, I'd like to introduce our special guest. I've known her for years now. She is thoughtful, caring, community-minded, and exceptionally strong advocate for our DuPage County school system. She matriculated from Indiana, where she attended Purdue University, and graduated with a BA in secondary education. She then earned a master's degree in leadership and administration from North Central College. She is a wife and mother of 3 children with 2 dogs who also think they are her children. She taught 6th grade elementary and coached before advancing to vice principal and then principal, where she served with families of Marker School District 60 in DuPage County. She continued her administrative career at the Regional Office of Education, first as the Assistant Regional Superintendent, followed by her current elected position as Regional Superintendent. She continues supporting DuPage County public and private schools, fighting for families, wanting the best education for their children. Besides offering students a top-tier education, she is passionate about supporting students, keeping them safe, and helping them gain access to other helpful pathways and resources to maximize their opportunity for a successful future. I could go on, but I think I've made my point, and it's time to hear from our guest herself. So without further ado, let me introduce Amber Quirk, candidate and incumbent for DuPage County Regional Superintendent of Schools. Welcome, Amber, to Conservative Talk Chicago.
Thanks, Jack. I really appreciate that wonderful introduction and being able to be here with you today.
Thank you. I'm sure a lot of people want to know what you're about and very interested in finding out why somebody would even think about running against you for the primary, since you've got such a great record and you're doing such a great job for the school system. So I've got a few questions to ask you, and I thought basically I'd try to start with, being an incumbent regional superintendent of schools, you introduced new initiatives utilizing some of the past experiences as a classroom teacher, instructional coach, vice principal, and principal. Can you share some of the initiatives, including the value-added services, to fit the needs of lifting the burdens from local school districts that you're introduced to the DuPage County school system, enhancing resources of the 42 public school districts, as well as the non-public schools?
That's a great question. So first, let me start by saying there is part of my role that is regulatory in function. The state legislators create laws, right, and passed from the House and the Senate, and then those eventually become school code. There are a large number of those. In fact, I believe there at this point the last count was 995.
995
laws related to school code. And there's not really enough time in the day to do all of those things. However, part of the office at the Regional Office of Education's role is to go in and conduct compliance reviews to ensure that districts are actually trying to do what the law says. So a team from my office goes in and we review the compliance probes and look at the evidence that the schools have that they are meeting the law.
Okay, and how are those initiatives basically helping lift the burden from the school districts?
So those aren't initiatives. That's part of what we have to do, we're required to do.
Okay.
And then there's what we call value-added services and some initiatives that I've worked really hard on in my time in office would be, one, we have a school safety network. It used to be called the School Safety Task Force. It's a group of representatives from every school district, plus emergency personnel like the sheriff's office, the chiefs of police, the chiefs of fire, Office of Homeland Security, the state's attorney, the health department. I feel like I might be missing somebody, but it's pretty much representatives from all of those groups. It is a big group, and we meet 4 times a year, and we come together and we talk about how to keep students safe, both the preventative side, what are things that we can do to be looking for, what are the threats that might be out there that we have to be aware of, and brainstorming with each other how we take care of that within our school districts. And then on the flip side of that, when an emergency does happen, we have to be ready to respond. So we do a lot with training. My office helped coordinate, in conjunction with State's Attorney Bob Berlin, an intergovernmental agreement that 41 school districts signed on to provide mutual aid to each other when there is an emergency and to assist during the reunification process. So when a major emergency happens, and it could be it could be a school shooter. We know that happens. It could be a fire, like what happened up in North Cook a few years ago. It's some kind of major emergency. And then what do the students need to do? We have to reunify them with their parents. And often that is a drill that is not practiced at all. So we've been working very hard on that. So that's one example. Another value-added service, one on the side where we are required to provide teacher licenses, we also offer fingerprinting and background checks as a service to the school districts so that they don't have to buy the machinery to do that themselves. Some are able to do that, and others, it really is cost savings for them. And a third value-added service that I wanted to chat about was the fact that we offer job-alike networks. Again, a requirement of the office is to provide professional learning for teachers. So one of the ways that we do that is offering network opportunities, usually 3 to 4 times a year for people who are in similar roles in the districts to be able to come together so they can learn from each other, as well as be provided resources that we can find for them. Some examples besides the school safety network for that, we also have the school nurse network. We have school counselors, social workers. We have the DuPage County curriculum directors. There are multiple examples of jobs that exist in school districts, and they're able to come together and learn from each other. And this, again, the professional learning side is required, but having the opportunity to come together and learn in that way and be able to share with each other does some of that, like you mentioned, lifting of the burden from the school districts. They don't have to organize that themselves. We take that on for them.
Interesting. And your office coordinates all those additional value-added services? We
do.
To make certain that every single school district has access to that?
They all have access. Now, they don't all have to choose to use our services. It is an option for them. I am hopeful that the majority would see value in using our services for professional learning. And we do actually tailor some of the professional learning to what the districts want. If they called us and they said, hey, this is what we're looking for, can you do this to help us out? We do that level of tailoring as well.
Do the other school districts, they don't report to you, right? They use you as like a consultant, as a resource, or how does that work?
That's a great question, because I've had people who've thought, because my title is Regional Superintendent, I must be over all of the superintendents in the school districts in the county. Again, going back to the compliance portion, yes, there's that regulatory function. However, each superintendent is hired by the 7 elected board members from a local school district. They are the visionaries for the school district and guide the district for what their constituents want for their local community. So it's very, very important that we have that local control and that the school boards are able to come together as a team and develop what they want for their local school district.
Is there some sort of guidance to make certain that they can't be too extreme? So instead of teaching math, they throw that out and teach basket weaving? I mean, how does that work?
Again, going back to the compliance probes, there are certain things we are required to teach in Illinois. And therefore, the school board members wouldn't be able to say, I'm not going to teach math. They would need to teach math. Now, they do get to choose what the curriculum is that they're going to use. That is their decision. That is not a regional decision. So that wouldn't be something I would have to decide. I just have to check to make sure that they have a resource to teach the subjects that are required.
DuPage is known for its great school system. In fact, many parents end up moving from Chicago to DuPage to take advantage of our schools. Unfortunately, many in DuPage think the school system operates in a vacuum and fail to appreciate that how much effective, experienced leadership actually contributes to the success of the school system. In DuPage County school districts, you are pretty well known, but there are those who do not know of your accomplishments or your commitment to DuPage families and its children. As someone wanting to continue serving her community, representing families and the fine educational system we enjoy here in DuPage, can you describe some of the highlights of the great work that the Regional Office of Education employees under your leadership have accomplished?
Love to talk about that. I was really fortunate. My predecessor had been in office for many years and established a great relationship with the district and the county providing support. So I really, truly was able to hit the ground running. But I'm really appreciative of my experience. You mentioned, after I was a teacher, I was an assistant principal and principal, and I've been able to use my experiences to help be able to drive the work forward very quickly, where I really, it was a matter of learning the people's names when I came in and a little bit of the uniqueness with the Regional Office of Education, but I had the leadership background. Some of the things that people in my office have accomplished while I've been there and myself helping to coordinate that would be, having the first ever AI conference. We've had them 3 years in a row. We ran the Safety Summit for the last 4 years. Our Parents as Teachers Home Visiting Program won a Blue Ribbon Award this last year, which is very exciting because that's even providing help to families before their children are in school. Mm-hmm. So helping them get to the resources that they may need. And one other example is I was able to be a key player in the CARES Collaborative, which brought 10 school districts together throughout our county to get a grant through IDPH, which helped us connect families and students with care navigation services to get them mental health support. So it was wonderful to be part of that, and hope to continue moving the needle on mental health supports for schools.
Wow. So how much in demand is that mental health support?
It was truly taken advantage of during that time from that program. Thousands of students received therapy services. And I do have to say I'm really glad that we have in DuPage County a great resource with our health department. We have the CRC out on the same campus where my office is located for not just students to be able to go to, but anybody to take advantage of getting that mental health support.
Is the CRC just mental health, or is there safety officers there too and stuff like that?
I believe it is solely mental health.
Okay. So I remember there were community resource officers at schools too, years ago. Some were out of the community resource unit at the sheriff's office. So I was wondering if that was still going on, if it was part of that.
Again, going back to the local control, school districts can determine if they have a student resource officer in their schools or not. And some do and some don't. Okay.
Is there a specific reason why they would or would not have one? Is it money, or is it the student population or the location, or what would drive that decision?
For sure, right now, money drives a lot of the decisions in school districts. It is an expense, and then I think if districts are possibly opting not to, if it's not an expense-related decision, then it might be perception, and not understanding that it's really important to build those relationships with the student resource officers and the students. And it's a great opportunity for them to do that in the schools, and then they support them when they see them out in the community.
Yeah, I would think that'd be very useful too, particularly when you see a lot of students nowadays, confronting police officers in the street, not having respect for law enforcement and what law enforcement really is there for, to protect and serve. That brings me to the next question. Because there are many issues that could plague the role of inexperienced local elected officials. Aren't doing a very good job. I see increased taxes, increased inefficiencies, a reduction in quality of services, or any combination thereof. Many would say, without exaggeration, that our children are our future, and their education is extremely important, not just to their future, but to the future of our nation. After all, they are our future leaders. I know money's tight. Only taxes are the highest in the nation. I mean, and it's imperative that we properly budget for education without sacrificing its programming. But that also means we must continue to strive to maintain our cost effectiveness, avoid wasteful spending, and excessive taxation. So, Amber, you have an opponent to this primary. What are some of the issues currently facing DuPage educational programming that you feel your opponent would be inadequately prepared to address if elected? And if you're reelected, how would you continue to improve the regional office?
So first off, I also want to point out, because this is something a lot of people don't know, the Regional Office of Education is not a taxing body. We're different than school districts, which they are able to levy taxes. So we don't have that benefit. So we have to be very creative and also extremely efficient in what we do because we have limited resources. I believe my opponent is a classroom teacher, which is a noble profession, I feel. In fact, I started my career as a teacher myself. You mentioned that earlier. I've been an instructional coach, an assistant principal, and a principal. And when I was in those roles, I became very familiar with resources to be able to help students. In fact, I used many aspects of the regional office. Typically, when you are a teacher, you're going to be familiar with the teaching license aspect and the professional learning aspect. When I went into administration, I learned all about truancy, which is another required role of my office, but I used that service. I used the alternative education services that we provide. So students who make some errors when they're in school, they make mistakes, like maybe they bring a weapon to school, or they sell drugs, or they get into fights, rather than just expelling them out of school and not having any other opportunities, they can come to our regional safe school. So that is something that our office provides. We also provide an opportunity for students who've maybe gotten behind in their credits at the high school level to come and make up credits and eventually be able to take the GED and get their high school equivalency diploma, which is a big deal, so that they can be able to move into the working world, right? So that's really important. Using those two services, I was experienced with that. When students experience homelessness, there's McKinney-Vento services that are done through the ROE. I also was able to go through that. On the flip side, not a required service, but I'm so pleased that I was able to be part of it. I was part of a research study as a principal. Now on the flip side, I'm helping to continue guide that research study. So knowing about those services and understanding the relationship between what the ROE has, what the ROE can secure through partnerships with other people in the community, I feel like our office is able to do things very effectively. And someone coming in who has never needed to do any of those things, they're going to be starting back and trying to be learning that process instead of being able to hit the ground running and move forward. So at this point, we're looking for efficiencies, right? We're looking to make continuous improvement, whereas someone else wouldn't even know where to begin.
So your experience with being a assistant principal and principal help prepare you for the job you're doing right now?
Absolutely. I mean, right now I'm running an organization, and it's building a culture, working with adults, understanding how evaluations and performance reviews work, making sure you have policies in place that everyone is following, the fun stuff about being a leader.
Oh, yeah. Real boring stuff, I know.
Yeah. But it's important. It's important. And I thankfully had that experience as a principal. So coming into this role, that was not new. That was not new learning. And then there's the other side of it as well, the financial side. We, like I mentioned, we have to secure grants. That's the majority of our funding is from state grants. We have some federal grants, and then we have a very small part of the county budget, but really important to us. So managing $15 million is a lot of money. When I was a school teacher, I was in charge of $125 a year. And I can tell you, nobody was really looking hard at what I was spending that $125 on in my classroom. It was what I felt like I needed. We need to be cognizant of what our spending is about, and is it really truly supporting the programs that we're offering in the best way possible.
And you mentioned earlier about, somebody having trouble in school, having a place to go to continue their education or get their GED. Do you do that in-house at the county, or are you a certain school? How does that happen?
So actually, we are located in a school in Aurora.
I thought you were in the county building.
Well, my headquarters are in the county building. So the teacher licensure, the parents as teachers, truancy, our finance department, some of our social emotional learning hub, the leadership hub, those are all in one building in 421. We have the Center for Professional Learning that's in the building 503 in the court building. And then our third location is a school we actually lease from Indian Prairie 204 right now. We used to lease from Addison School District 4. We had a building there. We outgrew it, so we moved our alternative learning to this school in Aurora. We are currently looking for a more centralized location, so it's more efficient for all of the students who want to use our resources across the county.
How many kids you have in your program?
It fluctuates because students come in and out. I think right now we have about 60 students in the building.
That's quite a bit.
Yes.
Wow. How many teachers?
Might be lower than that, right? But it grows toward this time of year as well.
You've given a lot of information. Your office basically does an awful lot on a limited budget, and you've got a lot of experience that you bring to bear, which makes your job more efficient and also makes you more capable of being efficient with the office itself to maximize the use of the resources you have available to you. What would you say to all those Republican voters who don't always vote, who need to come out in this upcoming primary election and vote for you? What do you say to them to make them want to vote for you to be their public servant and represent the interests of the DuPage families, the children, as the Regional Superintendent of Schools?
So I would want to remind voters that local government is very powerful for us. And we have great things that exist in DuPage County. We want to keep it that way. Then we want to have leaders in place that have experience. My office provides resources, outreach, and education. I hope people would come out and vote for me, but also for everybody who is running for office right now, people who are interested in stepping up as public servants. Hopefully, people have done their research and voters have done their research and looked to see, what is the background of that person and are they the right person for the role to be able to help our county continue to grow and thrive as it has. For me, I want to make sure that we are protecting our students through the safety trainings and leadership that we've provided already for the county. I want to continue to show the investment in teachers that we have and the coordinated resources for school districts that can then eventually, if they're utilized, lift the burden from the school district, hopefully in turn helping ease the burden off the local tax dollars too. Those are the key things that I want to bring when people vote for me.
Amber, I've known you for a while. I've known a number of different people in office for a while now, and the term public servant is really something that many people need to hear more of, because money only goes so far. But when you get involved with these programs, helping kids, safeguarding a community, helping reduce taxes, things like that, that's a labor of love. A few people are in it for themselves as a stepping stone for higher office. But most people that do this, they do it for a few terms and they get burnt out and they go home. And it's not because they don't want to do more. It's because they put so much of their heart and soul and their passion into the job, do the best they can. I would think that the average person who's coming out to vote should basically want to vote because they're showing their support for the people who are being selfless to dedicate their lives, be the public servant, for their communities. So I hope people who pay attention to this come out and vote for you. I think you're a fine candidate, and I really hope that you get the opportunity to serve us again another 4 years. So I'd like to thank our guest, Amber Quirk, candidate and incumbent for DuPage County Regional Superintendent of Schools. That's a mouthful. For joining us today and sharing your insights and background. If anybody wishes to reach out to Amber, join her campaign, share your concerns, or just exchange ideas, she can be reached through her website, quirkforkids.com. That's quirkforkids.com. And a special thank you to our viewers. We look forward to bringing you interesting conservative viewpoints. Goodbye.